Welcome back to the channel. It is Mike's Talks and Thoughts here. And today we're going to be doing a Sons of Anarchy character tier list. Now today, I really wasn't able to find any good tier list on the Tier Maker website. So what I did was I took the most important characters that I thought that need to be ranked and put them in these first two rows here. So there will be more characters, but we're just going to be ranking up to Zobel here. And I like to preface this and say that Sons of Anarchy is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. I absolutely love this series. I watched it in all of 2020. My best friend was a huge fan of the show, and he got me into the Sons of Anarchy universe. So, yeah. So first off, we're going to start here with Jax Tower. Now, for me, I think that Jax is a S tier character. For me, Jax is probably my favorite character in the entire series. He's the protagonist and one of the best anti-heroes ever. Just his storyline with his conflicts with the club and his personal life is just incredible. Just the situations he gets into and how he finds a way out of it. It's just, Jax is just so clever and just so great. I love his character. Jax Tower for me is easily an S tier character and one of my favorite TV characters of all time. Now next up is Gemma. For me, Gemma is going to go in the B tier category. For me, I know a lot of people like Gemma and a lot of people hate Gemma. For me, she was always kind of middle of the road. Sometimes she would really annoy me, and other times she was really good. But I would say overall she was solid, just a solid B tier character. Now next up we have Tara, and I absolutely love Tara, but I think for me Tara's going to go into A tier. I think Tara was amazing. She always had a lot of great moments with Jax and building their relationship and their family with Thomas and Abel, and her relationship with the other members of the club was just fascinating. I really like Tara a lot. I think she's very underrated and one of the best characters on the show. Now next up we have Clay, the president. I think for me, Clay is A tier. I know a lot of people aren't really big on Clay. They think like all the stuff that he did kind of ruined the reputation of Clay, but I still liked him. Yeah, in the later seasons, he definitely becomes a lot more unlikable, especially after you find out like all the stuff that he did. But yeah, I still think like those first like 4 seasons, Clay is just amazing. I really like Clay a lot. I think he's a good leader of the club. Now, next up, we have Chibs, and Chibs is a fan favorite in the community. Oh, man. For me, I gotta agree. Chibs is S tier. Chibs probably has the biggest growth of any character in the series from season 1 to 7. Like, just his transformation is incredible. Chibs just he deserves to be a fan favorite. He is one of the most loyal members of the club, and is always there. So yeah, next we're gonna move on to Opie. Now Opie, I love Opie. Opie, like in the first couple seasons, was like him and Jax are by far my favorite characters. I loved Opie and Jax's relationship. But man, I just feel so bad for Opie. All the stuff that he went through just breaks my heart. Opie is S tier. I loved his character. Loved the way they I loved his personality. I loved the way that they gave his character a lot of depth. Yeah, Opie is S tier. Here we have Bobby. Now, I think for me, Bobby is one of the most underrated characters in SAMCRO. I definitely feel like he's definitely overlooked just because of the way he looks. But yeah, Bobby was just one of the best. I felt like I would say he is A tier for me. I really wish they would have went and focused more on Bobby's backstory, but up until the very end, Bobby was one of the most loyal members of SAMCRO. I really like Bobby. So next up, we have another fan favorite in Tig. For me, though, I've never really been that big on Tig. For me, he's B tier. I think that a lot of people really like the growth of Tig. But for me, he's definitely got some moments where he really shines, but other times where I just didn't like the storylines he was in, or just really didn't like his character. So I'm gonna put Tig in B tier. He's kind of like with Gemma. They both had some good moments, but they also had some moments where they were kind of bad. So, but for me, I think they're both solid B. Now, next up, here we have Marcus Alvarez, the president of the Mayans MC. Mayans MC got a nice spinoff, and Marcus was by far my favorite member of the Mayans, even including the members you find in the spinoff. I love Marcus. Marcus is A tier. He's even bordering on S tier. I love Marcus. I think he's a great member. Even like the conflicts with SAMCRO, and then when they become allies, he's a really good character. So yeah, Marcus is A tier. Next up here, we are going to rename the F tier the Stahl tier, because that is how bad June Stahl is. Now, I have nothing against the actress at all. I think the actress plays her role incredibly, because you're literally supposed to hate her. But she is just one of the most hated characters on television ever. Like, I don't think I've ever had as much of a distaste for a character as much as Stahl. Stahl is just horrible. She's manipulative. She's sneaky. She's greedy. She's just everything that's a bad personality trait. Stahl has it. Just, yeah, you always wanted to see someone just beat her up or knock her down, just like get back at her because of how much shit she caused. Yeah, so Stahl, F tier, even below F tier. Stahl is fucking horrible. All right. Next up, we have Otto. Now, Otto is awesome. I wish we got more Otto. He's played by the creator of the show, Kurt Sutter. And I love Otto. Otto is great. Otto, one of the most loyal members. I know with the Rico case and Luann and all that stuff, but man, I just love Otto. I think Otto is fantastic. Just up until the very end, he proves himself that he's loyal. He does the dealings in prison for SOA. And yeah, I really like Otto a lot. Otto went through so much pain too. Like, him and Opie just went through so much pain together. And I feel for both of their characters so much. Now, next up here, we have Unser. Unser, I think, is a B tier character. I never really thought that he was a standout, but he was always there helping the club. He was kind of the morality around the club. Everything he did was pretty much to be moral or just. He works as the police chief most of the series for Charming, the city the show takes place in. And yeah, Unser was he had some very important roles, but for me, he was always just kind of middle of the pack, solid, nothing against him at all. B tier. And next up here, we have Juice. I think Juice is another A tier character. Juice was one that definitely grew on me. And another one, just like Otto and Opie, just so tragic, his storyline. In season 4, it's just so crazy with Juice. Yeah, man, I feel for Juice. Juice's story could have went so many ways, and it just went down that horrible path that I wish would have been avoided for Juice. But Juice definitely brought a lot to the club. He always had important moments and interactions with characters, especially in the later seasons. Now, next up, we have one of the original founding members of the SOA, Sons of Anarchy Motorcycle Club, Piney Winston. Now, Piney, him and JT were the first 2 of the first 9 to invent or make SAMCRO. So, for me, Piney is A tier. I love the wisdom of Piney. I just really like his fatherly figure to Jax. Like, to me, I always felt like Piney was way more of a fatherly figure than Clay was to Jax. So, yeah, I love Piney. I wish they would have gave him some even bigger roles. I really liked his character. All right, next here we have Happy, one of my favorite characters. Oh, Happy is so good. Happy is bordering on S or A. Man, I think Happy's got to go S tier. Happy is so freaking good. You don't really see much of Happy at all until he patches with SAMCRO in season 3, but you see him even in the pilot. You learn about him as a nomad. You even learn in the Mayans MC spinoff more about Happy and his origins. But yeah, Happy is just so funny. He has some of the best quotes and best scenes. I love the scene in season 4 when they're trying to find out who took the key of heroin, and Happy's just standing there with a hammer saying, "I'm waiting." It's just so funny when you see that scene. Oh, I love Happy. Happy is so great. David LaBrava plays him fantastically, and not to mention he's a actual real life member of Hell's Angels, which is a real life MC. Now, next up, I accept that Chucky. Now, Chucky, I think for me is gonna go B tier. I love Chucky in the scenes that he was in, especially like the chili scene with Chucky. That was hilarious. And Chucky was even in Mines for a while. Through the first couple of seasons, I love Chucky. He's a great comedic relief. I never really had much presence or influence within the club, but he definitely helped them out in certain situations. I really like Chucky. Chucky is B tier. Now we have Half Sack. Half Sack, I think, is also B. I think he was solid. I never really had much problem with him. I wish they could have developed his character a little bit more, but of course, they didn't really have much time to. Because, of course, we all know the situation with his actor in real life. But yeah, Half Sack was always good. I thought that he had some really funny scenes. And just a really solid member to the club. He's probably my favorite prospect of the club. Either him or someone who we're gonna get to a little bit later. But yeah, from starting off as a prospect, he was probably my favorite prospect in the series. So next up, we have Jimmy O'Fallon, one of the biggest rivals for SOA. I think I'm gonna put him in B tier as well. I thought he was a great, cunning villain. He works for the IRA, for the Irish, and he's mainly the main antagonist all the way through season 3. I think he's great. He's probably one of my favorite villains in the show. Yeah, I think he does a wonderful job in the show. So next up here we have Nero. I think Nero is a C tier character. For me, Nero never really added anything to SOA, but he never really took anything away. Like, he was always just neutral to me. I never had a problem with him. Never really thought he was that great. I just kind of thought he was just there. So yeah, he's as neutral as I could get it. So he'll go in the C tier. Next up, we have Lincoln Potter, and he's definitely been involved in mainly with the Mayans. You mainly see him with going after the Suns in season 4. I think he's a C tier character. There's definitely some stuff that he does that really just annoys the shit out of me. Just like the way he kind of talks and the way he kind of treats others is just, I just don't really like that about him. But like, he's very, very convincing, charming. He tries to be like that. So I think for me, Lincoln Potter is probably C tier for me. All right, next up here we have Hale. He was always the one trying to talk Unser into locking up the Suns. He just had such a tragic end as well. Hale, for me, between B and C, I think he'll go C. I liked Unser a little bit more than Hale, but Hale was definitely not bad. I definitely just think, again, more neutral. Some points I couldn't stand him. I would say I couldn't stand him more than like Tig or Gemma. That's why Tig and Gemma are a tier above. But yeah, Hale like C tier. All right, next up we have Rat Boy. Again, other than Half Sack, he might be my favorite prospect. I think Rat Boy is a B tier. We just never really had much time to learn about like Rat Boy's past and any other dealings he had with any other organizations. But yeah, he was one of my favorite prospects all the way up until the end. I love when he finally gets patched in. I think that's such a great moment. Yeah, Rat Boy is awesome. All right, next up we have August Marks, one of the main villains of season 7, even before that in 5 and 6. I think August is A tier. I think he's one of the greatest villains in the series, along with Jimmy. I think I like him a little bit more, just because I just think he's more ruthless. He's definitely got the power and authority. And going along with that, I'm going to skip Eli for a sec. I'm going to put Damon Pope also in A tier. That was August Marks. Damon Pope had August Marks as his right-hand man, and it really shows. Damon Pope was just really ruthless. He had some of the most intense and ruthless tendencies of any of the villains. I would say Pope was the most ruthless villain, especially because the hardest scene to watch in the entire series comes from an act that Pope initiated. Just the most emotional scene. Season 5 is so emotional, and Pope is he leads that forefront. Now, next up here we have Eli, Sheriff Eli. He could get on my nerves sometimes, especially like when he's just trying to destroy the Suns. For me, I would say he's like C. Him and Hale just remind me of each other. They both want what's best for the city. Yeah, they're pretty similar to me. So yeah, he would be a C tier character. And then finally we have Ethan Zobel. Now, if you actually don't know this, there's a theory going around about Zobel. I think I'm going to put Zobel in B tier. He's the main antagonist all the way through season 2. And Zobel, we all know how Zobel's ending happened. He escapes. But there's actually, if you actually look on the TV in one of the scenes in season 2, you can see that there was a plane crash, and it was the plane that Zobel was getting on. This hasn't been like confirmed by anyone, by Kurt Sutter or even Charlie Hunnam or anyone like that, but I just seen that on YouTube and I thought that was very interesting. So yeah, Zobel, I think he's a B tier character, definitely a solid villain. So yeah, that's the tier list here. There's definitely some more side characters down here, but this was just take too long to go through all these ones. But maybe in a future video, I will go through the entire rest of the tier list. But yeah, so to cap it off, we have Jax, Chibs, Opie, and Happy in S tier. A tier, we have Tara, Clay, Bobby, Marcus, Otto, Juice, Piney, Damon Pope, and August Marks. B tier, we have Gemma, Tig, Unser, Chucky, Halfsack, Jimmy, Ratboy, and Zobel. C tier, we have Nero, Lincoln, Hale, and Eli. And then in her own tier is June Stahl. All right, well, thank you all for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoy. I'm going to definitely be cranking out some more tier lists and rankings in the near future. Thank you guys again, and peace out.